And so we get the calls. My son or my daughter, they had some sort of untoward event, something that for the family is not something that's happening every day. But for us as estate planning attorneys, we interact with it every day. We need to plan for life. This morning when Ms. Karine Jean-Pierre was talking about living fearlessly, I thought about this. This is part of living fearlessly. If you have your plan in place, you're not worried. I mean, we can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow, the next minute, or the next day, right? But all you can do is plan for if something were to happen, you're ready. So in the 20s to 40s, the first thing, if you're in that college age bracket, and I see some very young faces, I know black don't crack, so I don't know. Okay? But a FERPA release. A FERPA release, if you have a child in college, you are not entitled to get their academic or health information, even though you're paying that bill. The government says no, they're an adult. So you need to make sure that as you're enrolling your child in school, that you do get that release from the school and that you're able to have educational information and health information. A FERPA, Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, prevents the disclosure of that information unless you have a release. The second document, super important, a healthcare directive. In some states, it's called a health designation, but a healthcare directive. It's a document that provides for someone, an agent, to take care of you in case you are alive but unable to take care of yourself. That happens all of the time. Just because you have a husband, he or she, and in this room, or a spouse, another spouse, he or she are not entitled to get information. The doctors do not have to talk to them. They do it sometimes out of courtesy. But I have seen where people need a medical procedure and we don't have a healthcare directive. Or, there is an emergency and the person is in the hospital. We don't have a healthcare directive. Last example I'll give you. The person they needed some sort of surgery, cataract surgery, and they had dementia. So now we have a twofold. They have dementia, so they don't have capacity to sign this document, and for whatever reason, they need this surgery in their eye because of the pressure in their eyes, and it needed to be done quickly. We are running to the courthouse to get guardianship. A judge has to be involved to say yes, that this person can take care of this other person for the purpose of a life-saving surgery. We can't wait until those things happen. So if my three things, a FERPA release, if you have children or you're a person in that age bracket, a healthcare directive to make sure your health is taken care of, and then a durable power of attorney. Most people have heard of that document, or a power of attorney. It's a document that provides for an agent, someone to take care of you, your finances. Think, last week we got a call, mom called, son happens to be in a coma, 21 years old, in college. He had an apartment somewhere in the Maryland area. She needed to talk to the landlord for the purpose of managing his finances and talking to the apartment complex. She needed a durable power of attorney. She didn't have one. So either we can wait and hope he comes out of this condition, or we're running to the courthouse to get the court involved. And the courts are not fast. District of Columbia, 30 days you get to see a judge, but that's 30 days. Maryland, 3 to 6 months. Florida, about 45 days. So think about it. I need to talk to the apartment. I need to get in the bank account. When there's an urgency, every day matters. So if you're in that age bracket, while statistics show that you're less likely to not be here, right, by death, those are the three documents and the advice that I would say, the three strategies that you absolutely need to have.
All right. Isn't that awesome? Before I jump into the growth stage, ladies, having this trifecta, this team that we are, right? Trust, finance, and your taxes. It's as important as having a primary care, a dentist, a gynecologist, right? I think sometimes we're either intimidated or I'm not a trust baby. I don't need a financial advisor. I don't need a trust attorney. I don't need a CPA. It's that important. So I want you to listen attentively and take notes, but most importantly, take action. Because you don't want to wait until you need us for you to reach out to us. And majority of the time, that's what happens. So I want to commend HLN for ensuring that this panel and this session is part of this weekend every year. So let's move on to the next category, the next stage. Strategies for anyone in the growth stage, and that's for folks who are in their 50s to 60s, right? So the same question, and I'll go to you, Eugene. Strategies for anyone in their growth stage from a trust planning perspective.
All right. So 40s, 50s, late 40s, 50s, you are settling in nicely. Life is going good, or life is lifing, as the people say, right?
Yeah.
You're working in your purpose. You're growing. You may have been purchasing a home. You are in that good stage. You're working and all of the things. I want us to think about Chadwick Boseman. Anybody know who he is? Mm-hmm. Anybody not know who he is?
Of course, Black Panther.
That's right, Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
God rest his soul. So he was 43 years old, my age, when he passed away. And he passed away, and he survived by a wife, no children, but he's also survived by his parents. What we found out is that Chadwick, despite his wealth, didn't have a will.
Seriously?
That's not unusual.
But when you reach that level.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were telling me to lower my voice. No, it's okay.
Raise it up.
Oh, really? I feel like I'm talking really loudly. Okay, thank you. That's not unusual. We manage planning or probate or trust administrations for people every day that are wealthy. $6 million, no estate, no will, no trust, no succession plan for their business, nothing. We manage $10 million in probate, because when you don't have a plan, you are going through the court system. You're going through probate. When we think about Chadwick, and he was, I believe, a California resident, of which I'm not licensed, the law said that if he passed away with a wife and he's survived by his parents, his estate has to be shared by his wife and his parents. What happens when you don't plan is the government has a plan.
That's right.
And the government has a plan that it thinks is best. And in every state, it is different. If you passed away in the District of Columbia versus in Maryland versus in Florida, and you have the same situation, single person passes away, no wife, no children, parents, same thing in all of these states, it's an entirely different distribution. Maryland, as of October 1st, which was last week, 2023, it just changed the laws. So if you now pass away with, in that scenario, right, your parents would inherit, right? If it's in Florida, your parents would inherit, right? But it's different in every state. When you pass away without a will, intestate is the legal word, without a will, it is going to be different in every state. And if you're moving, you live in Maryland, this year, next year you live in Virginia, then you move to California, the laws are going to be different in every state. So my advice is in whatever state in the union that you live, and or if you live in Haiti. Haiti also has its own code for estate planning. And perhaps that's something that we need to have for next year. I work with a Haitian attorney woman who assists us because I live in Florida, so I assist a lot of people that are living here, diaspora, and they have properties in Haiti. So we have to do planning in both states. But in terms of strategies, have a plan in action. Have a last will and testament, have a trust, have something. Do not write it yourself unless you are sure where you live will accept a holographic or a handwritten will. Typed, preferably by an attorney or somebody who knows what they're doing, to ensure that it complies with the tax code, complies with your state code, and that it's a valid will under the state. I have gotten the conversations with clients. They come, they're like, oh, I have a will, but I just want to amend it because, I now have grandbabies. Okay, show me your documents so I can look at it, because if there's nothing I need to do, there may be language in there. And I look at it and I'm like, this is not a valid will. You have been living for 20 years thinking you're protected, and you're not. So if something were to happen to you, the law would have said you died intestate, and it would have been a distribution other than what you want. So that's the first thing. Have a will, last will and testament, or have a trust. As part of a will, you can also have a trust if you want to do a will with a testamentary trust, but you need to have that. The second thing I would say is pre-need planning. I said I'm the death lawyer. I'm sorry. Pre-need planning, meaning everybody their bodies, our physical bodies, something has to happen to it, whether they're going to be buried, you're going to be cremated, right? Maybe you can bury them on the golf course these days, but most of us don't have a golf course to bury people on, okay? But pre-need planning in terms of a strategy is very good. One, your family members are not left with trying to figure it out when something tragic has happened and they're in a high emotional status. Two, I describe it think of it as a wedding. The moment you call something a wedding, it's 5 times the amount of money, right? Mm-hmm. It's a party. It's literally a party, but we call it a wedding. Now they're charging us. When someone has died and you're trying to purchase, or the family is trying to purchase funeral burial plans, it's going to cost a lot more. During your life, you can plan for that. You can get all of that in order. You can pay for it. And it's going to cost you significantly less, and you can have what you want, whatever that is, yellow flowers, somebody knows saying, whatever you want to happen. But from a strategic perspective, it saves costs, and so there's more money going onto your family eventually, okay? And then the other thing that I want to advise in terms of estate planning, this is a good time to revisit. If you have a plan, inevitably in this growth state, things have changed. If you didn't have kids in the first stage, you now have kids. We need to talk about them. If you didn't have a house in the first stage, now you may have it. We need to think about it. If you've gone through a separation, right, we need to talk about it. We need to look at your designations, because, it's awful when people die and then it's like, well, they weren't married, or they weren't married anymore, but they were married by law, and they're inheriting a large portion, right? And now people are upset. I've had the case where we didn't know about the spouse, and the spouse inherited everything, right? Or on the other end, children are coming out the woodwork, right? It's absolutely important. Let's just put it on the table. I think you said it today. Let's just put it on the table. If you want to disinherit someone, there's no judgment. Sometimes you disinherit because this child's doing so well. Sometimes you disinherit because, there are bad feelings. Whatever the reason. But let's put it on the table and revise your plan. So this is the good time. So the third strategy would be, let's look at it, because life is not stagnant, and your plan should not be either.
Said, living plan. Living plan. So now, Marcia, what are some strategies for the 50s and 60s who are in the growth stage?
So here we are in the growth stage, and this stage is near and dear to my heart because it's where I am. I'm not going to tell you where on that spectrum, but between 40 and 60, I'm not going to tell you. But at the end of the day, one thing that I do want to say, we're talking about growing wealth in this stage. But don't be embarrassed if you're at this stage and you need to be in the create wealth category. That's okay too. Okay, so all those things we talked about from 20 to 40 still apply to you. You know, because you may not be exactly where you want to be. But if you are, right, at this age, you're a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more savvy. What are we doing? So in the create stage, I talked about entrepreneurship, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, let me tell you something. One of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is not having the proper business structure. We're talking about creating wealth, right? So, or growing wealth. So now, here you are, you've got your business, you're moving and shaking, you're making money, and then Uncle Sam is getting 40 to 50% of your money. And you're a business owner. Wait a minute, hold on, didn't Marcia say this was the best thing, one great strategy? Not if you're in the wrong business structure. So this is very, very important for entrepreneurs in the room. You know, most people, oh, LLC, you know that term. Oh, I'm an LLC. Okay.
It's on every TikTok.
Okay.
It is.
But LLC could be great for your business, or maybe you're overpaying, right? Maybe you don't understand that the structure you need to be might be an S corporation, might be a C corporation. Right? Might be a partnership or family limited partnership. You know, I can't get that deep today, but you have to make sure you're in the proper business structure. That's super important, or you're going to still end up overpaying Uncle Sam. There's so many different deductions that's available to you, and some people brought their children with them, and I think that's just so amazing. Because, you know, let's just be, my family immigrated here, and I'm grateful to my parents because they were entrepreneurs first, who kind of showed me the road. But ultimately, that's not, what's interesting is they were entrepreneurs, but they didn't really gear us towards entrepreneurship. And I think that might be the case with a lot of us whose families immigrated here, and they want you to go to college and do what?
Become a doctor, girl.
Yes. Okay. And work from 8 to 8. Don't sleep. Don't eat. Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, we need to understand. We need to do some of this research for ourselves because we didn't get that from our parents. So we need to make sure that there's a plethora of information. This is the information age. Get on Google and do some searches. With AI, artificial intelligence, you get almost any question in the world answered. You hear me?
That's right.
And so we want to make sure that we're doing the proper research and having the right professionals in our corner that's going to help steer us in that right direction. Because you got your kids here. If you're an entrepreneur, you know you can write off this whole event as a business expense. Okay? All right? Business owners in the room?
Yes.
Okay, everything you eat, drink, it's all cheaper because you're writing it off on your taxes.
And it tastes better too.
And it tastes better. You know what I'm saying? When it's a tax write-off, it tastes better. You know, and then hiring your kids in your business. I love that. Listen, I call that taking money out of one pocket, putting it in the other, and Uncle Sam can't touch it.
Yes.
Okay, we can hire our kids, pay them, and don't pay tax on the money they make. And we write off the money that we pay them. Crazy. Okay, so super duper important. But listen, if you're not a business owner, it's okay. There are tax credits and things that are available to you that you need to know about. And unfortunately, a lot of times we rely on the professional. You know, you walk in, you tell the doctor what's wrong, and he tells you something, and you're like, he went to school. And he should know what he's talking about. It doesn't sit well with you, but guess what? He's got the medical license, not me. But pay attention to your body. How can they tell you something's not wrong with you when it's hurting all the time? So the same way with our finances, we got to dig a little deeper. We got to understand certain things. I can't tell you how many people come in, oh yeah, that, had an accountant, whatever the case may be. Simple stuff like you're married, your husband owes child support, or you owe, school student loans, and the accountant tells you file separately. Who heard that before? Don't file with your husband because he owes this. You're throwing thousands of dollars away. You know why? There's a form called the injured spouse form. Simple. I just talked to somebody 2 days ago who paid thousands of dollars, and she said the lady never told me I even had that as an option.
What is it called?
Injured spouse form. So you can still file jointly with your spouse. You end up with more money. You end up, I've never seen it, to be honest with you, maybe once or twice, where filing separate in a situation like that worked out. But again, we need to make sure, we need to have those conversations. I'm not saying you gotta know everything you need to know about taxes, but sometimes if something doesn't feel right, you gotta ask questions. Okay, and there's a lot of information out there. So whether you're an entrepreneur, as an employee, I'm gonna say you gotta take the onus on yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you or tell you what needs to be done. And that's why these type of forums are so important, right? Because you're investing in yourself. This is gonna come back to you 100-fold. So whatever you spent to be here, let me tell you something, you're going back with much more than what you spent, okay? And the third one I'm gonna say is I'm gonna come back right to tax planning. I'm coming right back to it because right now it's even more important at this stage of your life. Think about what retirement looks like for you, right? Because sometimes we don't think, at 30 you're not thinking about it. At 40 you better be thinking about it unless you want to work till you die. Because that's what usually happens, unfortunately, when we do not plan, right? If you don't plan, you will work till you die. And at this stage, isn't it true, ladies, between 40 and 60, isn't there more medical checkups? Yeah. I'm so sick of stuff. Like, all these annual things I need to do, like, what? I gotta do what? But guess what? You have to do those medical checkups. Don't you think you have to do the financial checkups as well? Okay? Because when your medical health ain't good, if your financial health is not good on top of that, listen. At least let me have a couple quarters in the bank to do something, right? So at the end of the day, your financial checkup is super duper important, and what you want to do is make sure that, again, you are tax planning. Because if you're not, you're going to end up overspending. And one thing I want to say before I close out, and that is, at this stage, and I am guilty, I will be the first to say I am guilty, we get to this point where we feel like I work hard, I deserve it. Right? Don't you overspend on something and say, right? There's a little guilt. And so you one of the things we need to start doing is thinking about money different. And I remember having a conversation with a client who wanted to retire, but was in debt like crazy and just kind of charging up the card, right? And one of the things I told her was, well, how important is retirement to you? Because maybe you want to treat your grandkids to the Disney cruise that you're going to put on a credit card that you're going to pay over 5 years, and it's going to cost you 3 times as much as what the original thing cost. You got to work an extra 4 years for that. You still want to take them kids on a Disney cruise with no money?
Say it again.
That's the real though. When we swipe in and there's not enough cash in the bank to pay it in 30 days, you're overpaying. And you can't afford to do that because you will work longer, okay? And so when you make that purchase, listen, if you got it, do it. But if you're not where you want to be, if that bank account, if that emergency fund ain't funded, don't buy it.
You don't need it.
You don't need it. You can't afford it. And I want you to think about, how much longer do I want to work in order to have this thing that I can't even afford today?
Well said. Well said. So the growth stage, 50s to 60s. And that stage, you need a retirement plan. You must have a retirement plan. It is important to have a financial plan. Financial plan, it's not for the wealthy. It's for all of us. We all need a financial plan. So if you're in your 50s to 60s, right, you're literally staring at retirement. And those of you who are in your, 20s to 40s, you need to start planning for retirement. You need to start thinking about retirement. Don't think, well, I don't need to be putting money in my retirement plan or 401k or IRA because, retirement is 20 years away. People in this good matin, the earlier to start, the better off you will be. So if you are in your 50s to 60s, if you have the ability to fully fund your 401k, which is $22,500, that's the max you can put in. And then the government, if you're over the age of 50, you can put an additional $7,500. If you are in that income bracket, you can max it out, do it. Don't think about it. And then just do it. But if you cannot, I recommend doing the 10%. Some of us, nous mettons l'argent dans la dîme, we give 10% to the church. If you're a religious person, spiritual person, ou pas vle doué bon Dieu, but give yourself 10%. You deserve it. You understand what I'm saying? You are working, you're earning. Put on your own oxygen mask first. Right? So make sure you are funding that retirement plan. Now, a lot of people are like, well, mettez l'argent, I put the money in the 401k plan, Swinelli, it just goes down, 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 down. Listen, we don't control the market, but we need the market, right? The value of your money is going down because of inflation. You need the market. And right now, those of you who were here in 2019, I think yes. And I was on that stage and I talk about volatility. Volatility is your friend. It's not your enemy. It is your friend. And yes, there will be years you look at your portfolio and it is going to be down, like 22. Like last year, I'm just like, Jesus. But that's when you invest, right? I love a good sale. I don't go to Neiman's when everything is full price. I love a good sale. It makes me happy. I'm like, listen, Spinelli, you're winning. So when the market is down, that's when you invest. If you have the ability to increase your 401k contribution, when the market is down, when everybody is like, oh my God, the market's gonna crash, I get called from my client, Spinelli, that told me there is like this big thing that's gonna happen. Trump have been for new Biden, everybody, great. Increase your contribution. So that's what you want to do. And especially if you're in your 50s and 60s, because you are staring retirement in the face. So you need to think about how much do I need to retire comfortably. Now, retirement is different for everybody, right? Like my dad is retired. He enjoys making pickles and shipping it out to everybody in the country. That's what brings him joy. For some people, they're retired and they enjoy sitting on boards. Right? For some people, they're retired, they enjoy traveling and spending time with their children and grandchildren. So it is different for all of us. And most importantly, where do you want to retire? And how much is that going to cost in today's dollars? Right? So we want to do that. So that's number one. Number two, you know what costs a lot when you're retired? Healthcare. That will be the most expensive thing in retirement. Because you're retired, you're on a fixed income. If you have a great portfolio, you might be able to get a raise, right? So, but your body is just not keeping up with your mind. You feel like you're 25, but your body is not keeping up. And there are expenses attached to that, right? For some people, they're like, I want to retire in my home. And if you have a health care need, I have a client right now who's paying $50,000 per month. Per month. Swinelli, I have a great portfolio, $50,000 par mois. Fais multiplication ça. right? So I have to have a conversation with these kids who are waiting for mommy to pass away and inherit a lot of money. Like, you y'all want to take a break from working so you can take care of mom? Because this portfolio is going to run out of money. It's not going to last. So you want to make sure that you have a long-term care plan, extended illness plan, right? And the kids, when mom, dad, or grandma and grandpa, and they become ill and they're using the portfolio, money up going down, they start thinking like, mes amis, moun ap viv trop long. And people think it's true. They start thinking about themselves, although it's not their money. They didn't earn that money. But they're like, Miss Ami Mrs. Spinelli, whenever I think it's the last time we went to the hospital, and she surprised us. You know, l'argent pas pour, mais à contrôler l'argent. So you want to make sure, and if you have your parents, have that conversation. You know, my parents live in Florida. I don't live in Florida. I live in California. But I always think, I'm not going to be there. And I remember having this conversation with my mom. I said, Mom, it's not about pourquoi mourir. It's about you needing care and me not being there. And having that drill a hole in my pocket. Right? Because whether you want to admit it or not, l'argent, when you, as first generation Americans, you know, nous toutes, we have people on payroll, may or may not, you know, for some of us, we're the one who's rolling, like, it will drill a hole in your pocket, and you may not want to admit it, but you start to resentment like, comment c'est for me? Do you understand what I'm saying? When you're thinking, I'm helping, and then what I should be doing for my children, your 529 plan and education plans. So you want to make sure that you have a long-term care plan. It should be a requirement. Nous tous should have a long-term care plan. And keep in mind, the earlier you get this long-term care plan, the more affordable it is. Don't wait until you are in your late 60s, 70s, because it will cost you an arm and a leg, because the insurance company know what besoin. So you have charge au tête neg. Last thing I will say, well, fund HSA plans. If your job offers you an HSA, we can talk about that another time, but for the time, 529 plans. If you have children, grandparents, grandmas, aunts and uncles, marraine, parrain, 529 plans. The best gift you can give to any child, anyone, is the gift of education. The gift. If you think you want to have children, right? Open a 529 plan. Make the contribution. Mettez l'argent. Invitez tout le monde pour mettre l'argent là and invest that money, because it's growing tax-free. So you want to make sure that you have that set up. So if you think one day you may want to have children. I started my 529 plan when I was in my 20s, because I know one day somebody was going to give me 2 babies. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I was going to mother. So I started that at a very young age, because I knew I wanted my children to have that ability, and I wanted to pay for college for them. So you want to do that. Last, and then I'll hand it over to you, Marcia, a robust investment portfolio. Make sure you have adequate life insurance policy. Make sure that you're funding your retirement plan. You want to make sure that you have a emergency fund. But mes amis, invest your money. I know, I get it, but Spinelli, when I buy it, it goes down. Listen, it's not how much money you make, it's how much of that money you get to keep. And for those entrepreneurs, right, what mete in a business now, and what is your retirement? My retirement plan is one day for me to sell my business. But how much will that business be worth by the time you're ready to sell it? Will you be selling it for 10x, 3x, 5x? You don't know. But while you have that business, open a retirement plan. Take money, right? Well, if they do that, if they fund that retirement, does the taxes go down?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
it does.
that happens. So take money from that business, right, and make a retirement plan contribution. And that's all I got.
We feel richer, ladies, already?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we are well seasoned now. We are moving on up. We are 60 and above. Okay, proudly raise that hand. I know that's right. We are 60 and above, and we want to preserve our wealth. And I'm going to start by saying, sometimes we should be in the preserving wealth stage, but where we at?
The growth phase.
We broke. You like preserve what? It's okay. Start all over. We have to start all over. Listen, these TikTokers are making millions of dollars. We figure it out, right? At 60, you can become a millionaire. Okay, so here we are. We want to preserve our wealth. So I want to turn the table back over to my colleagues here. So I'm going to start with you. Do I want to start with someone? No, we're going to start with Reggie.
Okay.
So here's what we want to ask you.
Okay.
We want to talk about strategies to preserve our wealth. What could we do now that we're more seasoned women? What can we do to preserve our wealth?
Okay. Thank you. So I will say from the estate planning side, you're in your 60s, 70s. We need to consolidate. You know, I hope that your best days are ahead of you in the 60s, 70s, 80s, but, you know, if statistics are right, we have a little bit less time. Maybe you have 3 more decades. Maybe you have 4 decades. Maybe you have 5 decades, right? But this is the time that you need to be consolidating. There's nothing worse than when somebody passes away and we don't know where things are. Leon ba matla, mbakone. We have to look. We have to, I mean, literally, it's like a look. We're looking. We're looking for a needle in the haystack. Bon, mbakone still te gonti l'argent dans PNC, dans Truist,
Sol, the ISO girl.
no sol, ba matla. Mbakone, he may have given some money to the. Hey, you got to pay for it, okay? One thing about estate planning is you can pay for it while you're alive, and it's cheaper, or you can pay for it when you're not here, and it's more expensive. You have to pay for it. If we have to spend 65 hours looking for things or more, it's going to cost the estate. And so when we think about it, I'm going to give an example that's really simplistic. You have $100 at death. Multiply by the number that you are, put some respect on your name, multiply it by the number that's appropriate for you. And we have to spend 65 hours looking for things. That's 100 minus 65. If my math is correct, that's 35. The $65 are not going to your children. You're not passing on the type of generational wealth that you intended. Why? Because it's under the mattress. And we didn't know we needed to look under the mattress, open the mattress. I mean, I'm not joking. This is what happens. This is when you need to consolidate. You don't need to have an account at every bank in the country, in the world. You don't. I love to work with people that have a financial advisor. First thing you do with me, let's sign an authorization so I can talk to this person, so I can get the numbers, and they're all on a sheet of paper. You need to have a ledger, something. You need to consolidate. Because any time that is spent looking for things, any time that is wasted, if you have a business, how many people in this room have a business? How many people that have a business have a succession plan? Okay, I love it. We see 2 hands. I'm an encourager, okay? I believe in encouraging. But for the other folks that have a business in this room and you don't have a succession plan, what happens when you're no longer here? What's going to happen to this business? Think about it. We have to find somebody to manage this business, whether it's to manage it to continue. A lot of small business, if it's a 1-member LLC, cannot continue, or we have to sell it. But we need to have somebody. Do you have a manager? Who's the next person in line? Where's the operating agreement? Those are all the things that I do in my line of business. We need to bring it in. This is the time where so I can understand what will happen. right? So that it can be straightforward. It needs to be clear. So that's the first one. We need to consolidate. The second thing is you need to be very vigilant and firm at this stage. A lot of us, as we get older, we experience health issues, which is why Nelly talked. The statistics say 70% of adults 65 or over will require long-term care. So either you're going to be in skilled nursing, someone's going to be coming to your house, or some other type of assistance because of physical, mental, or some other disability, right? Or a different ability. You need to be firm. And what I mean by that is we get a lot of folks that are like, I'm going to use the word nye, one. They're really ambiguous, right? At this stage, you need to know who your trusted people are. And
Say that again, that part.
You need to know who your trusted people are. And le reste is kind of like keep your enemies close, but keep your enemies distant, okay? I change it around. Keep them a little bit further. If you know somebody is not good at managing money, if you know that your brother-in-law, sister-in-law is a little bit funny with their money, they're not good at it, they've shown you some character flaws, you need to be keeping your money firm. Like, you need to protect your heart. You need to protect it. Because as you're getting older in time, right, you know, what we are finding is a lot of older people are getting exploited. And they're getting exploited because they're allowing more people in their circle than that's necessary. And then what happens is the court system gets involved. And why? Because if somebody, for whatever example, maybe they have dementia, maybe they have a physical disability, they can't, drive or, walk or whatever it is, so they're relying on other people to go to the bank, or they're relying on other people to do things. If these people are not trusted people, you're going to be in a heap of trouble. And from the estate planning side is assets are dwindling, either under a durable power of attorney, or either under no documents, right? Or, they're well-intentioned, but they're bad with money, your kids. They're well-intentioned. I'm taking care of mommy, but then every time you go to the bank to get mommy $20 for, church, you also get yourself $20 for yourself,
Yes.
right? And I tell people all this time, you know your family. I know my family. You know your family. You got to be honest with yourself at that age, okay? Because what's happening is, one, if you're not careful, you're not going to get to pass on the legacy that you intend to pass. But two, what's going to also happen, which is not what you want, you're creating a heap of trouble after life. People are fighting. Mun fâché. I thought she was going to have $1 million. She only has $250,000, right? And let's be honest. I say that I'm retired from litigation, but that's not true. I do litigation in the probate space all the time, okay?
How expensive is probate?
Last person paid over $45,000. And I'm conservative because my goal in doing probate is I really started in this field because I want to see us pass on legacy. We work way too much in this country and way too hard for us to be the number one people losing a legacy. People died in 1991. This person lived in the house, that person lived in this house, this person. Nobody is probated or trust or managed the property back to a new owner. Right? So now, 5 generations later, we need to probate this house. This happens in D.C. all the time, Maryland all the time, Florida all the time. Because we didn't want to have a hard conversation. Okay? So, but now we're 5 generations down. This is a current example. 1991. I'm going to tell you I was in my teens, if I was in my teens back then. Okay? The law was different. So now I'm looking at the book. I have to figure out what the law was between 1975 and 1995. Okay? Then for the next generation, we have to probate it according to that law, 1995 to 2000 and whatever. There are different laws. The tax code has changed. All of these things happen. So it's really important that in this stage that you be firm with your trusted people. You can't let everybody in your business. you need to consolidate. And if you have a business, I'm hoping that you would have done it in the 40s, 60s. But as part of your consolidation, you're thinking about succession planning for your business. What is the plan? Are you going to work until in this business for the rest of your life? Is this business going to dwindle when you're no longer here? That's fine. But if the business has assets, whether it's inventory and all of those things, right? Somebody needs to manage that. I have a current case right now where the person has passed away. There was a business. The business is in bankruptcy. After death. So think about that. If the person had done the appropriate amount of succession planning, we wouldn't be in this condition. The business is in part in bankruptcy because after the person has died, we're looking. And during that time, we can't manage the business. And for a small business or one-person business, every day we're losing thousands of dollars. Now we're close to $2 million in loss. And so the only option is a business bankruptcy in order to try to salvage something in order to pass a little bit on to the rightful heirs. And the worst case scenario, I would say the third thing is make a family tree. It's really easy. I talked about intestacy, right? One of my colleagues was here today earlier. I know she had to leave, but this happens. You know, we have family here in Haiti, and in Haiti, the mail doesn't work really well, right? No, sérieusement. Sérieusement, right?
Yeah.
DHL works,
DHL.
but the thing is sometimes you can't find the person. Parce que pas gen adresse. There is an address, but and you have to serve the person per the American rules, right?
Right.
So make a family tree. Me, my husband, my 3 kids, I have 2 sisters, they have 5 people, whatever it is. Make a family tree. Try to make it 2 to 3 generations if you can. The reason is, if something were to happen to you and you decided not to take my advice today, I hope you wouldn't do that. I hope you would get an estate. But if something happened to you and we can't find the next of kin, sometimes it goes to the state. Maryland, DC, Florida, California. Do you want $2 million to go to the state of California when we know you have a niece and nephew? We know it. We don't know who they are. We can't find them. Nobody knows where they are. We're trying to serve them. We tried it once. We tried it twice. We tried it 3 times. So the money is either going to go back to the state. So create that. Keep it in your important documents, with your important documents. So God forbid something were to happen and we were doing what I call disaster planning and we can't find the next person, we know where the next person might be. The name, phone number, address, who might know the next person. So those will be my 3 things.
Thank you.
Awesome,
ladies. I'm going to give you my 3 things really briefly. And so, number 1 thing that I have, here you have followed a great financial game plan, right? So, Swanelli, that is our hope for everyone. So now you're in your 60s and 70s, and you've done this great job at doing your financial plan. So now there's buckets of money, because if you've done a great job, you've got money in different places. And so a tax strategy in order to preserve your wealth is knowing when and where to take that money from, okay? That's so very important. You've got tax-free buckets, you have taxable buckets. Hey, when do I turn on my Social Security? That's one of the most frequent questions I get with individuals who are retiring. And the nice part about it is you don't want to be that one relying on Social Security, because you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. But if you've got the various buckets, at 65, I just told a client recently who has money in annuity, money in a traditional IRA, money in a Roth IRA, we don't need to turn on Social Security right now. Because in 3 years or 5 years, if you wait to 70, you're in great health, she can get another $600 or $700 a month. We've got other places to pull money from. That will help to preserve wealth. So that's the first thing that I have. The second is the B word, and we don't like it. Budget. And the S word, we don't like that either. Save. In order to preserve our wealth, it's never too late to save. And ladies, we need to budget. More than likely, you're going to be earning less money in retirement than you did when you were working. Now, some of us, that's not the case, but for most of us, we will be earning less money. So you need to take a look at what does, again, retirement look like. One of us said that earlier. What does retirement look like for you? What are the things that you want to do? How much is it going to cost? And so at this stage, we want to be budgeting and saving. And lastly, can I say tax planning again?
Yes.
Tax planning is critical at this stage because do you know what the number one fear of Americans is? Number one fear. You think it's death?
Paying taxes.
No. Running out of money. Running out of money. You don't want there to be a lot of life left and no money. Okay? A lot of life left, but we have no cash. And so what we want to do in order to preserve that wealth, right, we need to tax plan. In reality, in this country, you will pay taxes till you die.
Yes.
And after.
Okay?
And after.
You're going to pay regardless, right? So if you plan now, you will pay less later. Okay, fair? Those are my top three.
Okay. I will try to keep it very, very short. So definitely income. When you're in your 60s, right, the goal is for your wealth to be generating an income for you, right? So you have that portfolio. You have Social Security. You don't want to tap into it. You could just let that grow, accumulate, earn that 8% until you're 70 when you have to start taking it, and then start receiving that income. But if you don't have a good financial plan, you haven't made contribution, that income may not be there. And it is a very, very sad state to be in. Number two, protecting your income. I don't want to talk about products, but, having annuities, making sure that distribution, regardless of the ups and downs that the market may take, and it will do that because we can't control the market. Making sure that your income is not going to go down, your income is going to go less. What has happened to interest rate over the past couple of years? Well, over the past year, I should say. Where's interest rate?
High.
Right? So mortgage interest rate has gone up, right? Everything has gone up. Credit card, what else has gone up? Savings, right? CDs are at 5%. Last time I saw that was when Obama ran for president in 2008, right? So we were back to listen, cash is back, baby. So if you have your emergency fund, you have cash, you need to make sure that you are getting paid on your cash, period. JP Morgan Chase, nothing against JP Morgan Chase, nothing against Bank of America. But if they're holding your money hostage in a savings account or a CD, you want to make sure that you're getting paid on that. So those who are in their 60s who want to keep some money in the bank for emergency or whatever the need may be, don't just let it sit there. Make sure that you're earning something on it. Securing your legacy and protecting your multi-generational wealth, not just for one generation, but several generations to come. This is the stage when you've talked to your estate attorney, you've talked to your accountant, but you need to structure your assets. Upon your passing, you're not just providing for your children, you're providing for your children and your grandchildren. And you guys, there is nothing more beautiful when I am meeting with a client. Yes, we sit down, we cry over the passing of a loved one, and then I open the portfolio. And we talk about the 5. It's almost like we're sad, but, crier à un tisan diminué. Vous comprenez? Nous crier, mais nous going like Catman. We're good. We're good. So, and I take pride in that because nous-mêmes, as Haitian women, we care about families. We work hard. We work extremely hard. So nous pas travail juste pour nous provide for us or for our children. Depuis longtemps, les moun nan gen kale, li gen bœuf, li gen cheval, li gen karotel, li gen ceci. And pour you, tout l'argent ça, all that, everything, all the hard work, it's not just for them. You dit, m'a travail pour petit moins, pour petit moins. Now, us, let's translate that in America. And then the last thing I will say, a lot of people talk today, they were on the stage to talk about helping Haiti, giving back. Pour moi-même, giving back là, nous capables de faire avec proche nous. Vous comprenez? Nous capables de faire l'argent and be able to sponsor, remind me of clean cooking? Yes. Vous comprenez? Nous capables de sponsor one of the non-profit organizations that are for women. But first, we have to be diligent and make sure that we are taking advantage of this country here where we're paying taxes, of all of the opportunity that's available to us. Last but not least, those of you who are business owners, tout haïtien connaît son business. You got business on side, on bagay, on ti démêlé on the side, right? And then those of you keep saying, comprendre, you know, and my question is, what happens when the business, when you're no longer here? And then it's seulement même seulement. They are the face of the business. They're this. Well, do you have a life insurance plan? What's your succession plan? Nobody knows. Si yo mou tombe bip yo mou jodi a yo tou mou ensemble avec business là. What is your legacy for that business? Do you have an exit plan for that business? So if you are at that stage, these are conversations that you need to have. L'on pas fait conversation en jodi a. They will have the conversation later on after you pass, and you won't have a say-so. So having a proper trust, meeting with a financial advisor, having a financial plan, having a tax plan, it gives you power from the grave. No one is making decisions on your behalf while you're not here. You made that decision, and you're making sure that whoever's supposed to inherit, right, whatever it is that you leave behind is inheriting it, and you have positioned yourself where you're not just helping this generation, but several generations that comes after that. Thank you, ladies.
I know ladies want questions, so there are also a couple of other sessions happening, but I know you all are here to really get into some individual questions, so I don't necessarily want to close out the entire panel, but I just wanted to make note that those of you who are interested in hearing Dr. Solange Vivens, she's in executive room for, you don't want to miss it, for a really intimate book signing and inspirational talk about wealth building and working hard. We all can learn from Dr. Solange Vivens, and so her session's in executive room. What I wish my Haitian mother told me is back in plenary, so I just wanted to do a couple of housekeeping. Wanted to also thank the panelists before I dip out to one of those two sessions. I'm going to go to the Solange Vivens. There are questions, so if you ladies don't mind just staying a few minutes, but then making yourself available a little bit more informally so people can feel really comfortable asking you questions.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to extend you. We can stay here all afternoon and hear from them, but I know that there are some questions that people want to ask of you, probably more in an intimate setting and one-on-one, so we'll keep this room open.
Okay.
But I wanted to sort of wrap up the general session time. But I wanted to extend, on their behalf, the invitation to chat with you all one-on-one, if that's okay with you.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And another thing that I usually do after our session is I open it to everyone. If you have a question or you get home, you're like, man, that thing Swinelli said, or I wonder, or I have a question, or whatever the case may be, feel free to call my office. And it is first come, first serve. Usually it's like the week after I do this, I am booked, and it's 20 to 30 minutes on my calendar. You just shoot a message or call the office today, leave a message. Elizabeth will get back to you. Say, hey, Swinelli was a speaker at the HLN event. I would love to chat with her, and she'll put that on my calendar. Again, first come, first serve. It is the next week after HLN, and I do this every time. So, burning question that you don't want to ask in public, or or whatever the case may be, just feel free to reach out to her. And she knows that I'm here, and it is something that I offer to every HLN attendees. So my office number is 408-746-3800. My assistant is Lily Beth Peterson, and she rocks. 408-746-3800, and Lily Beth Peterson is my assistant. Her email address is lilybeth.peterson@edwardjones.com if you want to shoot her an email. And again, when you make the appointment, just let her know, hey, give her an idea. So, I tend to go over because I talk a lot, but just give her an idea hey, I want to talk about my 401k or whatever, so I can just jump on the call and be prepared to discuss whatever you want to talk about.
And so I know that
Ladies get in touch with you.
yeah, so I know the same thing. So on our website, you may schedule an appointment, whether, hopefully no one's passed away, but an estate planning appointment. If you write that you saw me or you met me at the HLN or you were in this room, we'll waive the consultation fee, but you can schedule a 45-minute meeting with me so that we can talk about, whether it's just questions generally. As I said, I'm only licensed in 3 states, but let's say you're looking for a Virginia attorney versus a North Carolina one, or you have property in Haiti, and I can be a referral to you, I'm happy to do that. But just, you can schedule it. Our website is www.f for Francois, fwilliamslegal.com. And right there, you can schedule an appointment for estate planning. I just put HLN, what are you coming to, you can put the issue and just say, I met you at the HLN meeting. Also, you can call the office. If you are in the Maryland or DC area, it's 301-358-0377. Or if you are in Florida, it's 954-372-2021. And certainly we'll take care of you in the same way. Yes, ma'am.
Repeat the numbers.
The Maryland one, 301-358-0377, or Florida, 954-372-2021. Yes, my office is right on Las Olas Boulevard. Yes.
I am in Georgia,
Yes.
and I want to talk to all of you. Do you guys have any kind of affiliates, or maybe say if I talk to you from the beginning, do you have a recommendation if you can't participate in that, wherever this
Yes, yes, we have referrals. I wouldn't call them affiliates, but I do have a couple Georgia attorneys, pretty much almost all states in the union, just because, when we do intestate, which is the bad one, sometimes folks will own property in different states, so we've built a network of other lawyers that we trust to refer our clients to in other states. So happy to do that.
As for me, just real quick, ladies, let me just go ahead and give out my information as well. I am open to your questions. 973-707-5274 is my office number. You can call, but the earliest appointment I can take is October 16th, only because I'm working like a mad woman getting taxes done through October 15th. But that'll be a free 30-minute consultation for you. 973-707-5274, and I'm able to do taxation and tax planning across all 50 states. So not limited to that, okay?
Yeah, and for me, I am licensed in like 40 states. So I'm a license in Georgia. So if you want to chat, I'll be more than happy. Who asked that question about Georgia?
She's in the middle.
So I am licensed in Georgia. So it's not an issue. We do have Edward Jones Financial Advisors in Georgia as well. So if you want to speak with someone local, you can. But I have clients. The world is my oyster. I'm sorry?
I just called Lily.
Oh,
Just call now, Lily.
yeah, just call Lily Beth and just tell her, hey, you saw Spinelli on the panel. I'll shoot her an email and just, let her know, and then she'll put the time on my calendar. I am gonna be going out of the country in a couple of weeks, so, back on it. Après le 21, bah là, so, first come, first serve.
Well, thank you, thank you. We can't thank you ladies enough. I know you're sticking around.
Yes.
And you'll be here tomorrow as well.
Yes.
Yes.
You'll be here for the rest of the evening, so
Yes.
they are available. This is an incredible resource, our very own experts. We wanted to offer this session again this year, and thank you, Marsha, for joining the dynamic duo. We will love to have you back again, but please stick around if anyone has questions that they can benefit from a little bit of one-on-one time, but we know the agenda's packed. Again, there are 2 sessions happening now, and then we'll go back into closing plenary before La Grande Danse. So that's what's happening, executive, Regency, and then La Grande Danse. So
Perfect.
let's go.
Do we
La
want to?
Grande Danse, we'll make an announcement.
Should we do
It's gonna
Q&A?
be big.
Can we do some Q&A generally? Can we do some? Should we do some Q&A generally? So can we do some Q&A for about 5 minutes generally, and then after that we can? Is that okay? Just so unless there's a specific question.
People can have time. Yeah, you guys can
I
stay.
was just like, I'm going through a divorce and I'm completely lost. So I think I'm gonna need all 3 of you guys.
Oh, transition, you're in
Do you guys have
transition.
cars, like,
Yes.
with you?
Yes.
It's
I don't.
messy, because I don't have any clue what I'm
Can
doing.
I give you my email?
Yeah.
I'll give you my number.
Because he controls everything, like the bills, everything. I'm completely lost. So I think I'm gonna need all 3 of you guys.
Where are you?
In Chicago. I'm in
Okay.
Chicago.
Pas de problème.
Yeah. I'm completely
Are you in
like,
Hoover?
I am.
Okay,
Can you
so-
find us?
Yeah,
I can
we're in
find you
Hoover.
guys.
Yes.
You can scan it.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
write down many. Here.
Yeah, let me get
They
my
have
my
2
phone.
profiles for me. Go ahead, go grab your phone.
I have a question,
Okay,
a general
yes,
question about
Vanessa
financial
Abdel
planners.
Razek.
Yes.
There are so many financial planners out there, and sometimes they feel like predators.
I
How do
agree.
you know how do you know that that person is a good financial planner or trusted?
It's about, first, you want,
Like Prime America?
Should we try to? Okay.
well, you can scan this. I think I'll give you more information. So,
Can you
mes
email me
amis,
and then? Okay.
je voulais parler
You have my phone number?
I don't want to talk about
Find me on
any
the Wova.
particular.
Email me and then I can give you her
I
information.
won't.
I don't have my glasses on.
But
That's why I'm like,
The
I'm
key
gonna be
is
struggling.
you want to
But that
have
is
a
her name,
relationship
Abdel
with that
Razak.
financial advisor.
I think it's
Right?
spelled
Like, do you
R-A-Z-A-K.
vibe with that person? Does the person understand you? It is about your needs, right? So when, I'm gonna give it to you in a minute.
Can you sell a
So when
property
you meet
from
with a financial
Florida if
advisor,
you're living in Haiti?
you want to see if you vibe with them.
Why
You
not?
want, me, when I meet with my clients,
I don't
it's
think
all
so.
about
You
you.
just- I
It
would
is
get
not
on-
about
I don't
me.
think so.
What keeps you up at
Yeah.
night? What's important to you?
Yeah.
Where do you
She's
see
very good.
yourself retiring,
She's very good.
right? What is your relationship with money? So for me, it's getting to know you and figuring out what your triggers are and what your financial trauma is. Right? So I would say that's the first step. And you want to talk about exactly how are you going to pay for that
I'm sorry to
relationship.
interrupt. So, hi, ladies. So, is it okay if we have the people that are standing here just step back? And then let's do questions for about 5 minutes so everybody can have the benefit of the answer. And then after that, we will
So we'll
answer individual questions. Just because some folks have asked questions and we want to have the benefit. So if you are here in the front, if you will have a seat, and then I will time it, and then we will come back and talk to you individually, okay? So if you can pass the mic to the first person or put it over there, and then if you have questions, and if you'll come to the mic on my left, your right, I believe, if I know my hands.
Yeah, left. You're right. Yeah.
So
Okay,
I
thank
heard
you.
Thank you.
So-
I heard what you said about you need, to find that vibe, but the resources, the only places that I see advertisement for financial planning is through work emails or solicitation. So I don't know where to go find that person.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent. I think in this country we do our citizens a disservice because we make it seems like, working with financial advisor, you need $1 gazillion.
Right.
To do that.
I'm a pro teacher.
I would say there is the Certified Financial Planning website where you could go on there and find a financial advisor. But most importantly, I usually tell my clients, try to get a referral. Who are your people using? I see I've used Munnan Jobla. I wouldn't do that because what you need is personalized financial advice for you.
Right.
You understand what I mean? So if you and I, let's say if I met with you and I said, okay, maybe I'm not the right person for you based on whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, I will refer you to somebody who can help you, right? So if you say, okay, I need, Spinelli, I have no idea. Retirement, I'm looking at it and I don't know what I'm doing. And so on and so forth. If I cannot help you, I would refer you to someone else. So I would say maybe try the Certified Financial Planning website. That's one. And then ask other folks, who do they know, right? Because again, we pull up Nipot Moon, but you really don't know, right? And it's knowing what to ask a financial advisor. I think there is a piece on Hoover that I think, there is some information on Hoover that I submitted, what to ask a financial advisor when you first meet with them. But essentially, you should be the center of attention. Your needs, your wants, your goals, and what you want to accomplish. And then there shouldn't be any ambiguity in terms of how much that will cost you, right? It is not free to get financial advice. I want to be clear on that because sometimes people are like, mes amis, si m'utilise un trust attorney, la coûte m'lage, it's going to cost me. If I use a financial advisor, it's going to cost me. If I use a CPA, a tax plan, it's going to cost me. It will cost you more
If you don't.
if you don't. So, si vous voulez payer kounya, vous allez payer aujourd'hui, vous allez payer plus demain. You understand what I mean? So definitely you want to have that. Hopefully that answered your question.
And your license in Florida?
Yeah, Mr. Lamte na Popano Lawi before we got to California. But yes, I am licensed in Florida.
Hi, thank you.
Hi. I think this is a state question, but anyone could take it if it's right. So I have an aunt who, the husband, Haitian divorce, still legally married.
We know about that.
And he passed away, but he had a pension, right? And we want to be able to access it so we can give it to the nephew. So, but we don't know where he worked or anything like that. So how do we get that kind of information so we can get access to the pension?
You don't know where he worked?
He used to work, yes.
Where?
Where?
In New York. This was in New York.
Where did he work?
We don't know.
Private or government?
Haitian divorce. They've been separated for a long time.
But no, you want to
No,
You have access to the bank account?
No.
Comment fait back on côté le travail là?
Petite.
How do you know he
It's-
died?
Yeah.
Oh, because of course they called and let us know.
Qui
Family.
est-ce qui call? Oh,
Yeah.
your family called. And then,
So, can we ask?
Yeah.
So, couple things, okay? There, in most states, there is an unclaimed assets website. So that's one thing that we always look at when people die and we don't know. If he worked for the government, and we think he might have, right? If you're sure, because sometimes we're digging and there's nothing, right? If you work for the government, the equivalent of OPM in most states, you can send a request with letters of administration from whoever is the personal representative, the person administering the estate, and saying, please, somebody's passed away, we believe that they have pension fund with this entity. Now, if it's a private entity, that's gonna be more difficult. You're gonna have to know where he worked. If we're not able to figure out which private entity, in my experience, most of these private entities will either then move the money if they can't find who the beneficiary or the heirs are to the state unclaimed.
Right.
So if you wait a little bit, the money is going to be moved and they're going to know it's going to go to the children. If the child is a minor, depending on the state, in some states you can create what they call a Uniform Trust of Minors Act account where the money is held. I knew New Jersey is a little bit different. They have some system where the government holds onto the money until the person turns 18. So I would just say, those would be my first, talking to family and friends and seeing if they find out. If you have letters from the PR trying to send it to the government, private is going to be it's going to be a hunt.
it takes 10 years for the private for 401k company or pension plan company, for them to finally say, no one has claimed these funds, we're going to send it to the, it takes 10 years. So my question is, qui kote index ap travay? Like, you know what I mean? Or
A furniture store in Long Island.
I would start by calling that commence na fidelite, mal nan choix, hello, my name is XYZ, men non negla, li mouri, eske li gon pension? Do you understand what I mean?
But you need letters in order for that. I'm sorry, what's going on?
On her question.
I'm sorry?
If this person is a tax-paying person, wouldn't they be able to find out through the IRS where you work?
I don't think they
They're
can't share
not.
that.
It's a Haitian divorce. Tout moun shush.
Well, that's
one-
not true. That's not true.
If you know where he lived, like if he lived in New
Do you know what?
If
No,
if,
it's New York.
if the information is on the tax return though, because you
They
can.
didn't file with the spouse, they've been estranged.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter. The spouse doesn't have to. The thing is, you can do a transcript request. Sometimes we've done a transcript request, but you need letters of administration.
Which means
So
that's
first we
probate.
need letters. Somebody has to be authorized to act for this estate
Right.
in order for them to get it. I mean, perhaps, and once you have letters, you can do what Swanelis, but I would say you have to, this is a,
Consultant.
this is an investigation. And we've done it.
Yeah, it is an investigation. And then when you say,
Yeah, this, an
Right, but-
asset search may not show it.
but Lindsay, pension.
And the credit report, sometimes it shows prior employers.
Oh, a
If she
skip
has his
tracer?
social, if she has his social.
You have a show so?
And she's a spouse.
She's a spouse.
She doesn't get information just because she's a spouse of death.
Li ba rap di ka mari mouri an
She
mwe.
doesn't get information. Way. So that's the reason planning is important. You do not get information automatically as a spouse of death unless she's the beneficiary.
Right,
If she's
right,
not the
that's another thing.
beneficiary, right, or there's no beneficiary, they're not going to give her the information.
That's another, you said to access the funds for the
Minor.
nephew. But then again, if the minor isn't the Benny,
If the minor is not the benefit,
then it doesn't go to the
It doesn't
minor.
go to
It
the
doesn't. So you,
you need.
It's just that, older Haitian, she just wants to help his
okay, maybe you need to hire an investigator. Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
You know, I am so proud of you women because I've been using people that don't look like me, that don't understand my culture, to do all the things that I need you guys to do for me. So I am about
You're
to...
switching over?
Yes, you know I am. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, I noticed that you guys did not mention the best way, because I'm retired now, right? And I've been retired for 2 years and I'm living my best life, thank God.
Yes, ma'am.
But I wanted to say that I think we need to encourage the young people to do real estate because that is the one way you can build wealth. And if you can't do real estate, I get a syndicate could work as well because that's how I was able to take the W-2 that I earned and put it in my bank while my real estate transaction paid for my bills. And so now I can live off multiple things, but I need to speak to you because my kids want me to consolidate. And I need to speak with you because Uncle Sam's still eating all up my money. And then I need to speak with you because I need to transfer my 401k and I don't know where. So I have like a need for all of you. But I also wanted to say to the young people, there is a thing online called FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early. Look it up and do it and stop pretending you have money buying things you can't afford.
Amen. Amen, 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 amen. But I do agree with you. And when it comes to wealth building, I don't think folks should limit themselves to just one strategy. I'm a financial advisor. I believe in the market. But yes, diversifying your wealth is important. So yes, investing in real estate is definitely important. For folks who purchased in 2019, 2020, I'm sure they're very happy with the value of their properties. Now, will it remain the same? We don't know, right? But so diversifying your wealth and having multiple sources of income, that's definitely important. Now, I'm not a real estate expert. I do believe in building I am building a global real estate empire though. But I do believe diversifying that assets, investing in real estate, investing in the market, investing in a business, all that is part of wealth building. That's why you need someone to definitely protect that and save you from Uncle Sam.
Ladies, I want to say thank you so much. Definitely showed up today, and I'm leaving richer than I came, so thank you. Thank you. For those of us who are building an emergency fund or have an emergency fund that they're funding, where's the best place to put that so that it can get the most gains? Because like you said, Swanelli, these banks are not giving a lot of interest right now, but where's the best place to put it?
Well, actually, banks are now, they're having to come to Jesus moment, because every bank, right? If you go online, Citi, Bank of America, all of them have savings accounts on money markets that are paying north of 4%. They're all brokerage savings account, brokerage money market. I know the Federated money market's paying about 5.5%. So there is no reason why you shouldn't be making money in your emergency fund right now. None whatsoever. So what you need to do is pick up the phone and call whoever has your money and say, hello, please. My money that you're holding hostage, I need you to pay me some interest. Which account do you have available where my money can remain liquid, accessible, and for you to pay me an interest? So you could do short-term CDs, right? But just make sure that, you could do a laddered CDs. Maybe you would do a 3-month CDs, and every 3 months you renew it. But at least that money that is liquid is accessible to you. So, every bank right now should be able to offer you. There's LI Bank, chargé au bon en paquet. Really, and negotiate your interest that you deserve, because they're holding your money, they need to pay you on it. This is no longer the era where interest is in the 2-3%.
Deposit accounts blog, if you go there and you put in your state and however much you're trying to save, it gives you all the interest rates of all the banks nationwide. Deposit accounts blog. So just Google it, deposit accounts. It might be depositaccounts.com or deposit, because I've been a rate chaser for years. So you can do money markets, you can do business, you can do personal accounts, and then savings accounts, HSA, you can get a sense. And then last thing I'll just throw out is some are federal income tax free.
Right.
If you do a municipal bond.
That's
whatever.
right.
So while it's growing, it's also growing tax free if you've maxed out your retirement accounts.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right.
First, thank you, ladies. That was absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate the breakdown. I'm in the growth phase, and I absolutely believe in diversifying, so I have a little bit over here. I also have things all over the place, so I'm afraid of this consolidation that I one day will have to do. Hopefully, I'll be around to do it. So my question is, when you have someone like me who's married, who believes in doing all this, but maybe the partner is not on the same page with how the finances should be invested. So, but I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
What do you do?
What's the advice?
That's more common than you think. All right, so you got to put on your own oxygen mask first.
Absolutely.
Your partner will catch up. Believe me, they will catch up. And by the time they catch up, it's sad. That's, because you want to build together, right? You want to have a plan. And I don't know if that's the case, but you want to build together, you want to have a plan together with your partner.
Right.
But
I just, you have some funds, they're, one side it's stagnant, it's the put in the mattress versus, I said, well, I took some out of the mattress.
Right.
Now this is how you're paying for this, this, and this, but you don't know it.
Right.
So, like, for example, like I have long-term care. I have life insurance.
Yes.
But
Did you get some on him? Because he's going to need it, love.
That's what I want. I don't want to get, he's going to be set, but I want to be set.
Right.
So can we women do that on their behalf?
You cannot do it on their behalf, because assurance, they're going to have to do the blood work, Vous comprenez moi? And they're
So is
gonna
there
have
like
to
a
answer.
threshold where you could go just under that?
No, nous pas capable de faire comme ça, no, because they gotta acknowledge because they're the insured, right? There's gonna be a document that they will have to acknowledge. What I would advise you is, you have to have a come to Jesus moment with, like, katsutab, la mort is guaranteed. Même si on pay tax until the day you die, we know that ou pral mouri one day. That's a fact. You understand what I'm saying?
I know, so but aside from convincing them to change their mind, what can I do in the meanwhile? Can you, like, different?
Well, one thing I would say is, especially with men, when it's coming from the wife all the time, they're not willing to budge. But bring him to a professional.
Yes.
Set up he won't listen
He
to
won't
that
budge.
either.
No.
You know, love, put on your own. Here's what I've seen, because I've had
I
this
just need to work
situation.
around.
You need to work around. Is he a business owner? Does he work for a company?
No.
But so is he funding a retirement plan? Does he have
No.
access to a retirement plan?
No.
Okay, love, you need to put on your own oxygen mask. Fund
You
your
need to
401k. Do your plan.
I'm good.
Plan.
Plan for you.
Plan
And I
for
would
you.
say, I mean, on the estate planning side, there are ways that you can plan so that if something were to happen to you and he was a survivor, you could allow him to have income but not access, right? There are lifetime access, like we can do a SLAT, which is a spousal lifetime access trust. So there are ways, like, let's say I don't know if you have children, but let's say you wanted to make sure, I don't want him to be destitute if something happens to me, right? Right?
He'll be fine,
Yes.
but
But I
I want to
was-
be fine too.
See if something happens to him. That's what
Right.
she's trying to say. Because he needs to
I
sign
think
in the
you-
dotted
yeah,
line.
you're gonna have to plan.
He has to sign. I mean,
That's why you do your savings. You do your savings. You make sure you have
gotta
enough.
put on your own
You're just
oxygen
gonna have to
mask
plan
because-
for both.
Yes, plan for both, and
Hope it never happens.
yes. Or if he has a job and his job give him a 401k right now, October, this is the time for people are signing up for new benefits. Peut-être passer men en tête li, ou open moi. You know what I mean? Because if he can't, you can't force him. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So, and you can't get things on his behalf because he has to sign, but you gotta look out for you. You have to really think, okay?
To the
I'm on-
extent it's just a signature, I could take care of that.
Oui, mais ça, mi pa kapab tan di bagay kon sa.
No, I'm an attorney. He's an attorney. I could say he signed this.
I mean, you can, whatever you think works, but you need him to sign on the dotted line to get the insurance, to get the long-term care. I think that's extremely important. If you are a spouse or you have a partner in the room, I would highly recommend have that conversation, because there's nothing worse is when your partner is in need of care and then you are the caregiver. Para sa fò mouri bonè, and the resentment is built. At one point, lo gade, when moun nan is deteriorating, you are too as the caregiver. So I highly recommend definitely look at that as an option. But mon amour, bakon, faut pas la avec nèg la mette chita. You know, we're gonna need him to
Giving
do.
you a call.
Yeah, is there somebody?
Are you? Yeah, no. They're all stubborn. You'll talk.
Go ahead.
Are you licensed in New Jersey?
Yes, I am. Yes, I've done this. I've had this conversation, and I parle dans bon créole katsutab, and I tell the truth, and then he does whatever he wants to do with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
no problem.
I think we're gonna take two more. There are two more questions. Two more people. I'm sorry. Is it three people? 1, 2, 3? There's 4. Oh, okay. We're gonna take the last 4 people in line.
Hi. First of all, thank you for this session. Very, very helpful. My question is this, because I'm kind of struggling with this now. What if you started out doing all the right things, bought the house, did some investments, put my kids through school, they're doing great now, they're pretty much almost done. They're mostly in grad school now, right? But fell sick, so now everything was depleted because I couldn't work for about 3 years. So any savings I had went to taking care of myself, etc. So now my sickness kind of came back. So I was trying to go back, start investing, the regrowth kind of thing. But now my sickness comes back. So now I'm struggling with, do I continue to save and invest, or do I just enjoy my damn money? Because I know technically I don't have that much time. Right? So do I just enjoy my money?
How old are your children?
That's what I'm struggling with.
How old are your children?
My children are 30, but she's doing great. She's already done working, great job. My boys, they're 22. One is in Columbia Law School. The other one is at Berkeley for a PhD. So they're all doing well. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yes.
Enjoy your money.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
money. Enjoy every penny to the point côté le dernier chèque là for it to bounce. Enjoy your money. Enjoy your money.
I don't have a question. I just want to edify you guys. This was amazing. That's my sister, y'all. I'm her biggest supporter. And one thing she always says is make sure you have a great lawyer, financial planner, and accountant. This right here is an amazing trifecta. And you need to come to New Jersey so that, I can have all three right here because this was awesome. Thank you so much, ladies.
She's putting more work on me.
I have a question about taxes. So with taxes, can you claim your medical expenses on taxes?
So here's the thing with medical expenses, right? Good old Uncle Sam says you can claim your medical expenses, but only if A, you itemize deduction, and B, you really don't make a whole lot of money, because what happens is they have a 7.5%, you guys know that, right? 7.5% of your AGI, and I'm sorry, I'm using acronyms if you're not familiar, but I'll just give you an example. If you make $50,000 a year, okay, and you don't have a house at least, you probably will not be able to deduct your medical expenses unless they're in upwards of $20,000+. So generally speaking, most people never are able to deduct their medical, but a business owner can put a medical reimbursement plan in place and have that be deductible from their business. So medical expenses, 80% of the time, you'll never get a write-off on your personal taxes.
Wow, so no.
Good question.
Last thing, I do want to ask my grandmother, she's 85, right? So it's too late. My Haitian mom never got any life insurance on her, so it would definitely be too late to try
It would
to
be
get one,
expensive.
right? Because I've seen commercials, well, she's 84, but I've seen commercials like up to 86 or 87 or something like that.
It's expensive.
Yeah. But she's not, I promise you, I've come up with something that would make her uninsurable.
Yeah, that is
So what's the best thing to do then if we can't get insurance, like life?
You guys need to start coming up together à la chance là.
Okay.
Pre-need.
To start
Start pre-planning
Start
it.
pre-planning.
Okay.
Right, because, she won't,
It won't happen.
It won't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. You guys are amazing. Y'all motivated me to keep my life together. So.
Yes.
Go ahead. You're wrapping it up?
I have a question too,
Yes.
but.
Is it
thank
for
you.
Swanelli or can Swanelli?
All three of you.
Okay.
First and foremost, thank you, because I think I came in here, I was blinded, and I think I can see clearly, a little bit clearly now. So thank you. Thank you. You ladies are the dynamic trio. Okay. So question for you first.
Can you ask Swanelli first because she has to
Oh,
leave?
yes.
No, just, I want to be.
So Swanelli, I've been working at the same company for over a decade now, and I just have the 401k and that kind of stuff. So do I start doing other things than what I have at work? Because I do have life policy. I have about 3 of them, but do I do something more so that later on I'm more comfortable?
Yes. So first,
So I have what the
First
job
we need
has,
to-
401k.
yes. So max it out. Again, based on your
Max it,
income,
okay.
right? So you
Yeah.
want to max that out.
Okay.
So your HSA plan, take advantage of that, reduce your tax liability,
Okay.
use taxable income.
Okay.
Ou besoin Roth IRA.
Okay.
reduce, again, in retirement, right? Your contribution, the contribution that goes into a Roth IRA, when you start taking that out, it's tax-free,
Okay.
right? And then additional income, if you have additional money,
Oui, yo chita nan bank lan.
but you can do a lot more by investing your funds for it to grow.
On the emergency fund that you mentioned, what is the percentage of the income that we should put in an emergency fund? Is it a percentage of your
It's the
income
your
take home?
expenses. So if your expenses are $3,000 per month, you have to think, okay, si
Okay.
job,
Yeah.
I need enough that's gonna last me to what? 3 mois, 6 mois,
Okay.
a year. So you need to have enough that's gonna cover your expenses.
I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if you make $3,000, your expenses are $3,000 a month, right? And you have enough, like $6,000, 6 months worth of emergency funds, then on a conclusion, $18 million. Mais $18 million après chute à earning 0.0 or nothing. It needs to be in some type of savings account where you're earning something on it. And nowadays, it's a lot easier than it was last year when interest was like 2.5%.
Okay.
Right? But it is important, your money needs to be working overnight. Point barre, point final, li fini.
Punto final.
You work hard to make that money needs to be working overtime for you. Now granted, volatility is not our enemy, it is our friend, right? So the market is gonna go this, right? And when it gets down, nous fait mal, mes amis, Elon Musk is gonna get a lawsuit, Amazon ceci, Google appelle moins. Those are opportunities, right? For you to buy investments at a great price and then watch it rise. So if I come to up invest, it's not like the Bitcoin, little coin, whatever it was, it's not like that. You have to invest and you have to watch it grow. And it might take times, right? Anyone who invested last year for the first time, you have cordé because they bought, and they watch the market go down, but it's not timing the market. It's time in the market.
Okay.
So you have to let your funds stay invested and for it to grow.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right?
On taxes, my question for you on taxes is you said that, don't give too much money to, like having refunds. I work for an international organization, so I'm considered like self-employed, but I'm not, right? So I have to manage my money. They give me a percentage every quarter. I get a check to pay towards, towards my taxes. But at the end, I find that I'm always paying more than what they gave me. So I don't know what kind of deductions I can get or whatever to reduce my out of pocket contribution.
And so they're giving you a reimbursement check? Is
No,
that what
they're giving me a tax allowance every 3 months.
So count as income.
Right, so.
And
that's
so I have to pay like for my Social Security,
your
Medicare, and all of
federal
that.
taxes.
Yes.
So here's the thing, they're paying you, and then the check they're giving you to help you with your taxes is taxable income. So that's not helping. It's
No, they deposit it in my account, so they factor it.
They're taxing you on it.
Yeah, they're taxing me on it. That's right.
So so technically, if you're a self-employed person.
But
there's
I'm
a
not
ton-
though. I'm not.
Are you a statutory employee?
I work for an international organization which pays you net. You don't get paid gross. So they don't withhold the taxes from you. As a most of my colleagues are foreign national. And so as a U.S. citizen, I'm paid net, but like kind of gross. So they never take money out of my net pay. You see what I'm saying?
Right, they're not withholding Social Security,
No.
which you need to pay into.
Yeah.
They're not withholding federal taxes, so you are not an employee that gets a W-2. So you do not receive a W-2.
I do. I do.
It sounds like
What is your status as?
I am a U.S. citizen working for the World Bank.
And what is your employer is an international employer.
Exactly.
So you want to know what you can deduct so that you're not stuck paying a large amount at tax time.
Exactly.
So there's a couple of things you need to do. So number one, you need to be putting first, before we talk deductions, you should be putting aside your tax money quarterly.
Yes, yes,
Okay?
yes.
So whatever it is that you're making and you recognize, hey, they're not withholding, I owe this, so you already know that 15% of this money that you're getting, you're gonna need you to put Social Security, Medicare tax, it's 15.3%. So you should be putting that
So
up.
15% of what they deposit every 2
Yes,
weeks? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
15.3%. That should, because they're not paying it for you.
They're not.
So generally, employers, you split it half and half. So when you're an employee, they pay 7.65%, you pay 7.65%.
Yeah.
In the case of her employer, they're not paying it.
Nope.
15.3, that's a lot of money. If you make $100,000, that's $15,000, okay? So one of the things you want to start doing is, they're not withholding it, but quarterly, put that up and pay it yourself so that you're not stuck at the very end paying that money, because they will charge you penalties on that, because the IRS says, we want our money now, we don't want it when you're ready to pay it in April, okay? So they're gonna tack on more money on top of that. But the other thing that you could potentially do, as far as write-offs, you wanna kind of take a look at, like, so for instance, Rolanda asked about medical expenses. They don't offer you any of that, right?
They do. They do.
They do. They
Yeah,
pay for
yeah.
your medical?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, so you have medical benefits. So if you are either a statutory employee or you're not a technical employee, there's certain things, like, do you work from home for the benefit of your employer? Do you ever work from home for the
Yes,
benefit? So
yes,
you can
yes.
you can deduct
I mean,
part of
the
your,
last, I just spent 2 years of COVID at home. I never stepped one
part
day.
of your mortgage or part of your rent, your
I didn't know
utilities, absolutely. So you can write that off. Your cell phone, your telephone bill, your internet, your cable if you have to do research for work. So there are certain things that you can deduct. We should have a side
Okay,
conversation.
okay.
Let me understand what more
Okay,
that you do,
okay.
and I can tell you some of the things you can
All right,
do.
thank you.
Okay.
And the last question is for you. So you talked about estate planning and our kids, because sometimes as parents, we don't realize that our kids can fall ill at a young age, right? So when you said that, it grabbed me, because currently I have one of my best friends whose daughter was away in another state, and I don't know if it's during COVID or whatnot, but the daughter came back mentally ill. And now their struggle is, because she's 21 and over, she doesn't want to take medication, she doesn't want to go to the doctor, she has schizophrenia. So now the parents are stuck with a kid who's like 21, who said, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. They live in the state of Maryland. What can they do? Because she's not always there.
So that's a challenge, right? That's a challenge that I've encountered before. So when someone is over the age of 18, they're legally an adult, so they can make their own decision. And if they are having a disabling capacity that prohibits them from managing their finances or their bodies, the process to go through to get help for that is to go through the process of guardianship. Here's the thing. You go through a guardianship, so now she's under court control, court supervision. Every year, the guardian has to submit a report to the court, letting them know how the adult child is doing, right? And every year, if they have finances to be managed, sometimes if they're 21, they're probably just getting Social
21.
Security or
She was
disability.
still in college.
Maybe they become their representative payee for that purpose, right? But even if you're someone's guardian, if they are having certain mental health challenges, it's hard to force. You can sometimes force them, let's say there's like a crisis, right? A medical crisis. Perhaps you can force them into a hospitalization to stabilize them as their guardian. But then the issue of taking medication on a daily basis, I've seen it where judges have done it two-way, where judges are reluctant to allow a third person to force someone to take medication, right? Because how do you do that physically, right? Physically force the person to take medication, because the hope of guardian is it's a very restrictive process, but we're trying to allow the person to have as much sovereignty over their body. So I would say if there's an issue with the management of her health care, perhaps taking her to the doctor, perhaps assisting her because she's not able to do those things, and there's a way to do like a hand-in-hand working, perhaps guardianship. If the daughter has some capacity at certain times, Maryland has, as of last year, we have this new law, which is the surrogacy law. So kind of like having an assistant, like the daughter could sign paperwork to say, I want my mother to be kind of like of an aid to me. And so I still have capacity for myself, but she can come to the doctor appointment with me. She can assist me and so forth.
But she has to be willing.
She has to be willing. But I understand that we're out of time. And so I do want to thank you all. We are going to be in the back of the room if you have other questions. We're going to leave the room, though. Okay.